You got more dye in that beard than Diddy wears.
All right, that's enough.
And I know.
That's enough.
I seen him. He shows me behind the curtain.
That's enough. All right, I'm gonna edit this out.
But still,
Put
a note on it. You can edit that one.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what? Maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
Back up a little bit, please. How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
On Monday, Mark Wahlberg stepped outside an F-45 training studio in sun-drenched Santa Monica and, without the help of a publicist or polished backdrop, advised every actor, singer, and social media celebrity within earshot to steer clear of Sean Diddy Combs' looming federal courtroom brawl. The Oscar-nominated star warned that the case has already mutated into a headline-hungry tornado perfectly capable of shredding reputations that wander too close. A few hours earlier, prosecutors had lobbed a fresh discovery motion spelling out the first wave of subpoenas aimed at music industry figures, and Wahlberg clearly wanted no part of that paper storm. "I have worked hard to reach this point," he told the small knot of reporters. Anybody walking toward that courthouse.
You're going to hear about my party. They're going to be shutting them down. They're going to probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we want to have a good time.
Right now is walking straight into a tempest they will never control. His caution landed while label chiefs, talent managers, and crisis lawyers dissected the widening fallout from the Justice Department's conspiracy indictment, which paints Combs as the architect of a coast-to-coast operation funneling millions of dollars, firearms, and banned substances through shell companies and charter jets between 2016 and 2023. Filings also claim he ordered associates to frighten rivals and muzzle would-be witnesses, and the government has tacked on SA and ST counts that crank up the possible sentence and ratchet industry anxiety to a new high. Risk is enormous, said entertainment attorney Lisa McCurdy.
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes, as his lawyers argue the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
This is going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Is it going to go on for weeks?
For sure, weeks.
Just sitting in the gallery or tweeting about the case can be read as taking a side. Combs, now 55, pleaded not guilty on Friday, April 12th, after a joint task force searched his Los Angeles and Miami homes, carting away more than a dozen hard drives and phones. Earlier raids had already sparked headlines, but an April 29th superseding indictment that stapled on the SA allegation turned the matter into wall-to-wall entertainment news. Wahlberg's warning carries extra heft because he operates both as an A-list performer and a businessman with stakes in fitness, food, and tech ventures. Friends say studio executives, terrified that dramatic insider testimony could splash mud beyond the defendant, regularly seek his read on how to navigate the optics.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95 that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
He has always understood that perception becomes reality overnight. Noted marketing strategist Jay Shetty, a longtime associate, the ripples are spreading fast. Several festivals are quietly rechecking summer lineups that once flaunted artists linked to Combs, and 2 talent agencies confirmed that at least 4 rising rappers have already bailed on a multi-state tour after managers calculated that even casual association might spark an online firestorm. Inside the courtroom, Combs' lead counsel Benjamin Braffman has fired off 3 motions in 2 weeks, insisting investigators overreached when they cloned servers belonging to Bad Boy Entertainment. Judge Carla Espinoza will test those. Claims at an evidentiary hearing on Wednesday, May 15th.
The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades.
She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
Hollywood publicists are preaching total silence. Pamela Gibbs, a crisis management heavyweight guiding multiple A-listers, said her clients have standing orders. No podcasts, no red carpets, no casual comments. Nobody wants to wake up inside a subpoena, she explained. That fear is not abstract. Federal rules allow prosecutors to draft any live spectator who chats with participants into the witness pool if fresh facts surface, a quirk that turns rubbernecking into real legal jeopardy. When former Bad Boy executive Harve Pierre agreed last week to cooperate and fork over what prosecutors called substantial contemporaneous records of financial transfers, the insider dominoes started wobbling. Within hours, gossip sites reported that 3 Grammy-winning performers had been contacted for voluntary interviews. 2 insiders say Wahlberg's remarks were aimed squarely at younger talent, who might underestimate how quickly reputational damage can snowball. Combs' camp shot back, calling the actor's comments self-serving noise and vowing to fight on.
Running a criminal enterprise. They say that he forced his employees to both work long hours and participate in a sex trafficking scheme that took place over 2 decades, that he coerced women into sex, that he held these sex parties known as freak-offs and brought in prostitutes to participate in those parties. So he is facing a litany of charges in this case and ultimately could spend his life in prison if found guilty.
The next pretrial conference is penciled in for Wednesday, May 22nd in the Central District of California, where prosecutors will unveil expert witness plans and the defense will push for a change of venue, arguing that social media fervor has poisoned any Los Angeles jury pool. If that plea fails, jury selection could open in late June. Meanwhile, the federal courthouse has begun preparing for a crush unseen since the Tory Lanez saga of 2022. Administrators are wiring a 4th-floor overflow room with closed-circuit feeds, just as they did for the Sam Bankman-Fried spectacle. Streaming platforms smell content gold. Several documentary pitches have surfaced, though none is greenlit. Live Nation is already inserting morality clauses into fresh contracts. Spotify has yanked Combs-curated playlists from its throwback hits. Carousel and Apple Music quietly slapped advisories on 3 Bad Boy compilations.
His demeanor in court, I think seeing that things were going on, he seemed to be more upbeat than some of the previous times that we've seen him here. His hair is salt and pepper now, which may surprise a lot of people who are used to seeing it just being solid black. And also, too, I saw him for the first time since I've been there in court actually pull out reading glasses to look at documents that were handed to him by his defense attorneys.
Fans may view silence as complicity, but loud support reads like endorsement, warned performance coach KJ Rose. On Capitol Hill, victims' advocates have asked the Senate Judiciary Committee to examine federal enforcement of ST statutes in entertainment. In Los Angeles, defense lawyers insist prosecutors are double-counting conduct repackaged with sensational labels and have moved to split the ST charges from the broader RICO framework, a severance bid Judge Espinoza will weigh on Monday, June 3rd. Such motions rarely succeed, but the judge has signaled openness to argument. Cooperation deals continue. Former tour accountant Crystal Flores submitted ledgers showing off-book cash distributions topping $2 million in a single quarter. The defense called her statements disgruntled speculation. Insurance underwriters, smelling risk, warned arenas that policies might not cover testimony-driven cancellations. Revolt, Combs' media venture, watched a $12 million investment freeze until material litigation milestones pass, while private equity chatter suggests the company's valuation could slide below $200 million. If advertisers flee, even playlists are politicized.
Jury selection begins Monday, David. Prospective jurors have already started answering written questions. If Combs is convicted, he faces what could amount to a life sentence.
iHeartMedia's urban stations have trimmed Combs' rotations by roughly 30%. TikTok flagged a 250% jump in user uploads about the raids and rush to bulk, up defamation moderation. French Spirit's Giant Diageo shelved talks to refresh Kyrock marketing, and Sean John postponed a Paris capsule line due to market volatility. Community debate rages. In Chicago, Reverend Michael Fleger wove the case into Easter sermons about wealth, power, and exploitation, sparking days of radio chatter. Barbershops across South Los Angeles discuss the allegations alongside NBA scores. Scholars are seizing teachable moments. UCLA law students are drafting mock opinions on that severance motion, and Howard University is plotting a symposium on music industry prosecutions. Security planners expect O.J. Simpson-level crowds, prompting the U.S. Marshal Service to request extra funds for metal detectors, and over time, observers predict the defense will ask for an anonymous jury. The judge wants briefing by Saturday, May 25th.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things, into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
Voir dire questionnaires will likely probe media saturation, and public defender head Ricardo Garcia warns that constant spectacle can seep into juror bias. Vinyl distributors paused a 25th anniversary pressing of No Way Out, while fashion showrooms held back a Sean John drop meant for Paris Men's Week. Even overflow planning has become newsworthy. Courthouse emails describe a queue system modeled on the crypto trial crush, complete with color-coded wristbands for press and spectators. Mental health voices caution against pure voyeurism. Dr. Thema Bryant, president of the American Psychological Association, urged outlets to balance allegations with resources, noting that repeated exposure to exploitation narratives can re-traumatize survivors. Crisis management icon Judy Smith added that Combs' unbroken public silence cedes the story to prosecutors, but may be the only play when legal exposure is extreme. Through it all, Wahlberg's Monday soundbite resonates. Publicists now report a surge of talent asking whether showing up merely to support a friend is worth the potential fallout. As historian Nelson George put it, this is not just a criminal trial. It is a referendum on an era when hip-hop moguls blurred every border between business hustle and unchecked power. Key dates loom: severance arguments on Monday, June 3rd, a decision on jury anonymity soon after, an evidentiary clash over seized digital files before mid-June, witness lists frozen by Thursday, June 20th, and, barring schedule earthquakes, jury selection kicking off Monday, July 8th. Whether those milestones stay locked or shift, court officials say the overflow room, the metal detectors, and the watchful crowd will be ready.